Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to another episode of All the Mods 7. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm having a fantastic day. Today, I want to set up Autocrafting with refined storage. This is a super useful feature in refined storage that, well, it is exactly what it sounds like. It lets you automatically craft things so that you don't have to, like, manually go, man, I need, I don't know, chests, and you have to go in here and find the chest and then click it in. No, you can just set it up to automatically craft it for you, which is, as I said, super useful. So there's some things we're going to need in order to do this, and I've already crafted a couple of them. First of all, we are going to need an interface. We're going to need a crafting upgrade and a crafter. And then we will also need an external storage unit, and finally, some patterns. And these are what you use to essentially make your crafting recipes. And I've already made a couple of them. I made construction and deconstruction, or construction and destruction cores, and I made a pattern to make patterns. And you also need a pattern grid, which we crafted quite a while ago. A crafting monitor technically is optional, I believe, and a crafting manager also technically is optional. So where do we want to set this up? I think we want to set this up somewhere that we're going to be like it'll be relatively easy to access. So I think I actually want to set it up down here in this room. And we actually have this wall right here that's not really being used for anything, and we could fit a bunch of these interfaces here. And these are the part that's actually going to this is the part that we're actually going to like interact with to add new things to our crafting stuff. And then over here we can put our crafting monitors and all that other kind of stuff as well. So I think that's the plan, right? Because the hallway's over here. Yeah, so we got a whole bunch of different blocks to work with. So let's see. Let's just dig in. It would be here, actually, is where the JEI, or the cables would run. And I think I actually want to, like, set the crafting monitors into the wall right here, just a little bit. So, like, or not the monitors, the interfaces. So we'd essentially have a wall of interfaces here. That would be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3, 15? 15 interfaces. And then each of these would essentially be connected to the system back here. We'll clear this stuff out as well. There we go. To give us a tiny bit of space. Do I have any? I do not. Also, this is the wrong pickaxe. I want this pickaxe that doesn't spit out random ores for me. But I do actually need a torch. So, boop, we'll just throw that down. Okay. And then we have a couple of random ores, which I'm just going to break like so. Okay, so let me get this part all wired up and connected to this line over here, and then we can get into this. Okay, I think we've got this all good to go. So I have all the various types of grids over here: crafting, fluid, pattern, crafter manager, and crafting monitor. And then over here, I have 15 interfaces, all of which have a crafting upgrade in them, and an external storage thing on the backside. And then this cable just runs underneath the ground to hook up to the system over there. So now we can just cover all of this up. And this is the only part of it you need to see. Now, what these will do is allow you to put stuff in here and say, hey, if I don't have this, I want to craft it. But the problem is we don't actually have a way to craft anything automatically right now. So what we need for that is the crafter itself, which is not in... Oh, you know what? I used it to craft the crafter manager, because that requires 2. Okay, no problem. So let's just make another one here. We need the crafter. And this guy isn't too hard to make. Just requires a couple little things. Let's just make a couple of those. And I need a construction core for that. And there we go. Okay, so now we have a crafter, and then let's grab these couple of patterns here so I can sort of show you how this works. I'm also going to need one of those, and do I not have any more patterns? Really? Did they all get used? Did I put them somewhere? Okay, well, I guess I'll just make another pattern then, too. Pattern. Here we go. Not super difficult to make. Okay, so there's all of that stuff. Now, what we need to do... Oh, there's my patterns. They're in here. Okay, cool. So anyway, what we need to do is grab ourselves a cable, and this thing can go literally anywhere as long as it's connected to the network. So for now... I'm just going to run a cable. We'll just say here. It doesn't matter. Like, you can put it literally anywhere as long as it is connected up to the network by a cable. So this is our crafter, and this will allow us to actually craft things. But in order for it to work, it needs patterns. And the way you make these patterns is you go to the pattern grid. You make sure you have some blank empty patterns over here, and then you put in the recipe for things you want to keep in stock. So for example, say I want to have redstone torches in stock. I can say, okay, this is how you make a redstone torch. It goes like this. This is set to exact because it's a shaped normal crafting recipe that you would do in a crafting grid. And then you just hit create. And now this is a pattern that can be used to make redstone torches. And this is one for construction cores. This is one for destruction cores, and this is one for blank patterns. You can hold shift to go back and forth to see what these patterns actually represent. And then you have a couple ways you can do this. You can say, hey, I want to put these in manually by right-clicking on the crafter and putting them into this little part here. Or you can actually go to your crafter manager and you can put them in here as well. And that's probably the easier way to do it because then you can access all of your crafters that are on the network in one spot. And now we have these things set up on the network to be able to be manually crafted. Now, obviously, you need to have the resources in your system. Like if I didn't have any redstone in here, for example, I wouldn't be able to craft redstone torches. But that's pretty straightforward. And then you just come up here to an interface, and under export, you put what you want to have exported. So, destruction cores, for example, we can say, hey, I want to always have 64 of these, and set. And it will start crafting destruction cores. You can say, hey, I want to have 64 construction cores. And it will start crafting those. Now, obviously, the crafting speed is going to be limited by the speed of your crafter, and you can see in your crafting monitor how fast that will go. But thankfully, you can use speed upgrades, which we have a whole bunch of. So let's put some of those in, and now you'll see that job already completed. So this is a way to make sure that you always have a certain number of a thing in your system at all times, right? So like, if we look in here, we have 64 construction, 64 destruction cores. They're in the system and they can be used. And that way it'll only craft more when I actually need them, right? It's not just going to constantly craft stuff, and I don't have to come into my pattern grid here and say, hey, craft me X number of these. No, I can just go ahead and manually, or I can go in and automatically make sure that I always maintain a certain number of things. Did I use a redstone torch? I guess so. Start. Craft me 1 redstone torch, please. There we go. And we can do this for literally any sort of item that is easily crafted. Let's say I want to have 64 of these as well. Boom. Beautiful. And now we will always have that many in stock in the system. So super, super useful. Now, the thing is, we don't really want this crafter just sitting here. This was mostly used for an example, so I want to move it. But also, you'll notice that there's only so many slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slots for you to put patterns in. So I'm curious. I know there is other crafters in here. There is an iron crafter from extra storage, a gold, a diamond, a netherite, and that appears to be the highest one. So I don't know about the netherite one, since well, we don't really have that much netherite, but diamond we could definitely do. So for now, let's take this guy out and just break this, throw it into the system, and let's first of all make an iron crafter. Then we got to upgrade it to, what are these? Neural processors. How you make these? I have literally never seen this before. Okay. How many of these do we need? 4? Interesting. I mean, to be honest, that will make 1. This, I wonder if these are even worth making a recipe for. Probably not. Like, I think we're probably good without them. We'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Because we need 2 for the gold and 2 for the diamond. And the rest of it should be easy. Thankfully, we do have our furnace over here. We can just cook these up real quick. Bada bing, bada boom. They should be back in the system now. And now we should be able to make the gold and the diamond crafter. Now, what I'm curious about is if this thing is just faster or if it has more slots. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's what I was hoping. We have way more slots. In fact, one of these diamond ones is the equivalent of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 regular crafters. And you can still put speed upgrades and stuff in them. So I think what I probably want to do is make a handful of these diamond crafters. And again, we probably want them in a relatively easily accessible location. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could maybe just put them up here. Wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing in the world. And then that'll give us a lot of different recipes that we can make use of. So that's an option. And also we're going to need a few regular crafters as well for something else we'll show in just a little bit. But for now, let me make a few of these diamond guys. Okay, so there we go. We now have 5 of these diamond crafters chilling up here. That's a lot of potential recipes, considering each one is, 9 by 7? So 63 different recipes, almost a stack of recipes, essentially, per crafter. So this should last us for quite a long time, and if we do somehow end up needing more than that, it's pretty easy to just kind of dump one elsewhere. I should also look, is there a better interface? Fluid interface and regular interface. Yeah, there's no upgrade for the interface over here, unfortunately. But that's okay. The interface stuff is only going to be, we're only going to use these for things that we want to make sure are always like automatically crafted and that we always have in the system no matter what. If we want to use this for stuff that, if we want to automatically craft things that we only need a little bit at a time, like one that's every, here and there, we can do that over here and manually tell it to automatically craft the stuff. Manually tell it to automatically craft. What a sentence. Anyway, so yeah, that's the plan. The next thing that I need to do now is just make a whole bunch of recipes. And that's actually not going to be that difficult to do. We'll just come in here to our pattern grid and input whatever recipes we need. However, there is one thing that it makes things a little bit tricky. And the way, and that is as follows. So if we pop over here, let's look at processors, which are these guys, right? These are used for like everything in refined storage. And I want to automate all the refined storage stuff because obviously the more we set up autocrafting, the more refined storage stuff we're going to need and so on and so forth. So this part, pretty straightforward. Okay, we can do that. We'll say pattern grid. And this is how you make a raw processor. Same goes for the gold. And same goes for the diamond. Okay? Pretty straightforward. But then the thing is, in order to turn these into the actual basic processors, you have to smelt them. And that is where things get a little bit more interesting. So let's go processor. And let's just grab... I actually don't have any of these, I just realized. Okay, that's fine. Let's make 2. Let's make one of those, and let's craft one of those. Okay, so first of all, smelt that thing. And now, if we go processors, we should have one of each of these, right? One of the raw processor and one of the actual finished smelted processor. So what you can do is go to the pattern grid, change this from exact to processing, and you say, this is the cost, and this is what it makes. And this is now a processing recipe. And you can do that with all of these. Like so. So raw, and you'll see they all are the same, right? Put in the raw, get the normal one. Then we can throw all of this stuff back into the system. And then what we would need to do is grab another crafter. We'll say just a regular one. And do I have a smelting factory? I do not. Or a furnace? I have just a vanilla one. Okay, well, you know what? We'll use... I don't think this is connected up to refined storage, is it? No. Okay, that's fine. Well, for demonstration purposes, let's just make a real quick smelting factory. Oh. Gotta make that guy. And there we go. We'll just make a regular old energized smelter, just for demonstration purposes. Okay. Then I will also need a cable. Sure. We'll just use this one. Doesn't matter. And let's just grab... My power cables are up here. Okay, so grab this cable, and we'll just bring this guy over to here. That's fine. And throw... we're going to put the smelter right there. But before I do that, you'll notice when you look at the crafter, it has one side that looks a bit different. You've got like this kind of dot. It's this side right here. And when you place this down... It's kind of like placing like a log, right? Like it's going to basically face towards you wherever you put it. So that side needs to be facing into whatever it is you're trying to craft. So for example, if I want the smelter to go here, it needs to go like so. And then what you can do is grab a cable from refined storage to hook this thing up. You'll see it's now all glowy. And now we can put these processing patterns into here. So we say you, and you, right? Those are now in there. And then we can put these pattern bindings into one of these crafters. Doesn't really matter which one. We'll just say this one right here. And now, if I tell this thing to craft, do I have raw? I do. I have one of each, right? Actually in the system. If I come over here and I say, hey, craft me one of these, it will quick pop in and essentially make it. And then I don't know, will it actually... Yeah, I think it actually makes it and then brings it right back into the system right away, which is super cool. Let's just try it with that and that as well. Like, this thing's already done. Yeah, look at that. It looks like it worked. I'm surprised that was so quick, though. You'd think that would be slower, but maybe, I don't know. Anyway, that's basically how you do it. You hook a crafter up, face it into some sort of processing machine, like a smelter, and it will spit out the right thing. Let's do this. I just want to, stress test it, so to speak. If we say, I want to make 64 of these raw ones, that should speed it up considerably, so... We say, yeah, make me 64 of these guys. Ah, here we go. Machine doesn't accept item. Raw basic. Oh, you know why? Because the backside is set to the wrong thing. And then I think what we actually need to do is output it and send it back. I don't think it's going to automatically... Yeah, okay. So then what you would have to do is either run a cable to go back to the other side, or I think you can also just say bottom output and grab an importer and stick it to the bottom, and then it will only take the output, as long as you configure the side properly. Like, it won't try to suck this stuff out. So there we go. Now it's going to automatically smelt and create all of these things for us, which is great. So that's basically how it works. Obviously, I don't want this here. I want to find a new place for it. So, yeah. But let me figure out wherever I want to put this and get a little processing area put together for things that would have to be smelted and other stuff like that. All right, well, after a bunch of recipe making and stuff like that, I think I'm pretty much done for now. So these are all the things that I taught the system how to craft automatically. Except I just noticed that the gold... Huh. Oh, because it's... I see. It's got diamond crafters... And because I have so many diamond crafters, it's this big long one. Okay, got it. Yeah, these are all the things that I taught the system how to make. All this stuff you see here, and then all these things down here, just to make sure that these are things that I always have in my system because they're used for making recipes and all sorts of stuff like that. Food, things that I just never really want to run out of, even if I don't need massive quantities of all of them. And you can see all this stuff is kind of in here, ready to go. And if we, in the future, decide we want to add more stuff, we can totally do that. And these crafters will work with pretty much any machine that can accept items into it. So it'll work with pulverizers, macerators. It should, in theory, work with the thingamadoodle from Powa, this guy. It would, in theory, work with an energizing orb if I put it, like, say, underneath. It would feed stuff in there. Like, there's a lot you can do with this thing. And it is a very powerful system. But, yeah, that's basically Autocrafting in a nutshell, all set up and ready to go. Yeah. I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Links in the description below. So check that out as well. Otherwise, my friends, thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.